Alright, I'm recording this damn intro again because it got deleted the first time. So originally, I didn't actually plan on doing this video. In fact, I had something else planned, which we'll just save for next week. But I ran across this article and kind of wanted to check it out. So this is an article from Car Scoops. It came out last year, and it's pretty much just asking what are the worst automotive facelifts since the year 2000. Now, a big thing about design and the aesthetic or visual style of something is that it's all kind of subjective. Yes, there are a lot of things about design regardless that are like almost set rules of what's going to help something look better or be better designed. But there are also a lot of things that are very personal and perspective based. They're very subjective to each person. So with some of these on this list, we might agree, others we might disagree. I'm going to try to see it from both my opinion and also from a designer's point of view. So let's just get right into it. I mean, right off the bat, like, this isn't even the first one. It's just like the intro photo. And I already agree. I have a large issue with a lot of modern BMW design. I definitely think that the option on the left, the older generation X7, is a lot better. Personally, I don't think that having giant fat grills like BMW has been pushing towards and then narrowing the headlights is exactly a great idea. Good design is usually proportional across the entire object that you have designed. So this is not very proportional anymore. It's far more proportional on the older generation than it is on the newer one. Now, it also seems like it's like a split headlight design. So the actual headlights are the ones on the bottom, while it's the DRLs, the daytime running lights, that are on the top, which that split design, I'm not sure how much it works. I've seen it done with the Genesis cars before, and it kind of works there, subjectively, of course. While this feels kind of clunky, a little boxy there on the sides, it just doesn't fit the lines correctly. So the actual first one on the list is the Camaro. In 2019, Chevy refreshed the Camaro to look like this. This break in the lines of the car, and to include that kind of black strip there, it's not a good break. Sometimes breaks in the lines of an object or in the overall shape and form of an object work. In this case, they don't. Some car companies have been trying to put these black bars there to make the grille look bigger. So this kind of feels like it's just incomplete. It does not feel like it belongs to this. It barely feels like it belongs to this. It just feels like it's sticking out there. Completely unwarranted. Why did they add this? This also looks like a really weird mustache. Like, I don't know how else to consider that. It just looks like a mustache. I will say that this, where the color is actually matched to the rest of the car, looks better. I won't say it looks better than this, but it definitely looks a hell of a lot better than this. It flows a little bit more having the same color, but the break in these lines here still feels a little bit off. So here is the Škoda Yeti. For those who don't know, American people, Škodas are Czech cars. It's a Czech company. I'm not too familiar with Škodas. I live in the US. They're not sold here. That said, this might be one where I somewhat disagree, but I can also see why people like it. The secondary lights are quirky. They're little funky looking things. And I will say it gives the Yeti some character. But from a designer's perspective, just in terms of following the overall form of the front of the car, the second one, the facelifted version, does a lot better. You can see this line here from the grille. It follows up very nicely into the actual headlights, versus here, there's a break here. And it's not a terrible break. It's definitely not like the Camaro, but it's a break regardless, that it's a subjective one. Some people are gonna like it, some people aren't. I don't hate it. If anything, I kind of like the quirkiness about it. But purely from a design perspective, the facelifted version is a little bit cleaner. This one's one I can definitely agree with. And before anything, this is not because of, oh, no pop-up headlights? There's no pop-up headlights! Oh my God! That's not why, okay? In fact, I think that this car can work just fine with no pop-up headlights. Of course, am I slightly biased because I own a Miata? Yes, but I think purely from a designer's perspective, the NSX didn't look as good post pop-ups. The NSX follows like a really common theme with 80s and 90s sports cars of just wedge-shaped designs. The NSX fit that perfectly in the 90s. Because of the pop-up headlights, it lets this wedge shape just flow beautifully up there. Yes, there's this little divot here, but it doesn't really do much to break the character of the car at all, or break the overall line and form of the car. It flows nicely. The problem here that I've noticed, and I'm gonna try to actually find like a more angled 3/4 view of it. Here it becomes a lot easier to actually see. If I scroll up a little bit, as I said before with this generation NSX, pre-facelift, with pop-ups, there's a little divot here, but it's fairly negligible. And the overall form follows just fine. It's very consistent. When you then go down to the facelifted version, you realize that this divot became really, really large. There's suddenly a break here in the continuity of the wedge, where this just becomes flattened out. The headlight doesn't continue all the way down. It doesn't continue following the line. Only the center follows it. And there's also, as you can probably see, a small bump here, which means that the headlight is actually raised over the line now. It breaks the shape just a little bit. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad looking car. You give me the keys to this car, I will take it with a giant giddy smile on my face. I'm just saying that purely from a design perspective, compared to the version with the pop-ups, it's just slightly awkward. It's not the worst design fail in the world. If anything, I wouldn't even call it a fail. It's just a little funky. So the Fiat Multipla, even if you're not really into cars, I feel like there's some of you who have definitely seen the Multipla around the internet somewhere. This is probably one of the quirkiest, weirdest little cars to ever exist. It was never sold stateside. It was actually only sold in Europe. And it's just so ugly, but like in a cool way. Purely from a design standpoint, it is horrible. The designers lost their shit. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. But from a quirkiness, memorable standpoint, it's goddamn perfect. Of course, the facelifted version had to kind of improve on the actual design aspects of it. Yes, it is a lot more boring. But I mean, you have to also look at this from a marketing standpoint. The thing that people don't tend to always understand when it comes to design is that you can't just set the designers to roam free and let them do whatever they want. It also has to be good for the marketing team and for the engineers. Designers have to work with both of those groups to effectively make a good product that everyone has to compromise on. So sometimes, even though something looks really funky design-wise, or looks pretty cool design-wise, or it's just experimental, the marketing team and the engineering team have to agree. They agreed with the first generation for some reason, but then the marketing team realized they fucked up and said, you know what, we have to market this better. People aren't gonna buy it if it looks like a fucking troll, so we have to improve it, make it look more like a typical car. So as I said earlier in the video, I mentioned that this was an X5. This is an X7. And I could barely tell from the beginning because the front of the X5 and the X7 look identical. Like the M3 and the M4 are basically the same car, just one is slightly shorter and has 2 doors. And while we're on the fucking subject, the M3 and the M4. The F80 was probably one of the most fantastic generations to exist. It was beautiful. And then they dropped this bullshit. This one's definitely subjective. I've seen some people that really love the look of these cars, but I'm gonna be honest, this is the most hideous bullshit I've ever seen in my life. This is, I don't know what the fuck BMW has been smoking, but ever since they lost their goddamn engineers and designers to fucking Hyundai and Kia, they just don't know what the fuck to do with themselves anymore. Honestly, what are they doing with themselves, with their company? The only new car from BMW that has actually kind of grown on me, and I actually wouldn't mind having, is the new M2. The only car that they have left that, besides the M2, that doesn't look that bad is the M8. That said, short and sweet. This article, I can kind of agree with some things. I can not agree with other things. At the end of the day, a lot of it is subjective. What you like and don't like, it kind of comes down to you, and really whatever car you're going to buy, it also comes down to if you like it. Some people like the Pontiac Aztek.
Design-wise, it's the most hideous thing that has ever been conceived by mankind, and I will forever stand on that. Same thing goes with the Kia Soul. Fuck the Kia Soul. But if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notifications, follow me on my social medias. All those links are down in the description, and I hope that wherever you guys are, whenever you guys are watching today's video, you have a great, wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.